in
Your eyes up in the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horse is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. You'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight.
Howdy there. I'm Matt McKinley, and we're burning daylight.
In the saddle till the job's done right.
Welcome to Burnin' Daylight, the only podcast for the working cowboy. Dumb little podcast where I, tell dick jokes and sometimes talk about important stuff. But anyway, so I just appreciate you coming on. But we're live now, and so we're back with Dan Hartman. He's a show favorite. I wish I had the full stats on that first episode that we did, but I've changed hosting platforms since then, so I've lost some of my numbers. But well over 1,000 people have listened to it, from either podcast or YouTube, and it's one that people always it's most requested outside of Boots O'Neill. So you're in pretty rare company, Dan. Yeah. Well, oh, of course, man. I just I feel like we're buddies now. We've never met in person yet, but I've talked to you several times, and we had tried to uh, put on another horse clinic. I tried to be part of the first one as much as I could, and then well, I was glad to help, and I wish I could have been there to actually, help on the ground too. But one of these days we're gonna get that done. I think that the damn COVID just threw a wrench into everything. I know since we last talked, like you've kind of had a whirlwind of shit go through your life too, and so it's man, like shit's changed over the course of 2 years. I can't hear you, Dan. You're cutting out pretty good. There, that's better now. Yeah, that'll work. We're in good shape now. Perfect. Well, I've got your Facebook profile pulled up, so I got pop your cool Bronc picture on the screen. So you'll be with us in picture and audio. We're rolling now, Dan. We're just really kicking ass. But yeah, so like last time I talked to you, you were running and gunning like hell, and it seems like you're still running and gunning like hell, but in a completely total different set of circumstances. Mm. Well, well, good. I'm glad to hear that. It's like I said, that COVID just really like threw a wrench in everybody's program, and I know like it hit certain people different, and it just weird how I don't know. Like you've how did you manage to keep it all together? Because the Rona got you pretty damn good there for a bit, didn't it? Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm I'm the same way. I think I had it again there for and it may have been just I think I might have had a stomach bug like some sort of parasite and I took about oh altogether maybe 10 cc's of that injectable and boy you shit like a Christmas goose but cure you right up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've read a lot of different stuff, and it was before it became a worm or whatever. It was 100%. Um, yeah, it was a human drug, and then it later became I forget what they were trying to do with it in livestock initially, but then it became, just the ivermectin that we knew, and it overtook human use by a long shot, at least here, just because we don't have like malaria shit or you know, or like what is it like dengue fever or river blindness or all those kind of those tropical diseases that they typically use it for, and so it just became just known as livestock and pet dewormer and yeah but worldwide man that has saved so many lives it's insane essential drug according to the WHO and which is almost like a conundrum because like wait a minute the WHO who I don't trust also says it's the an essential drug and so then you're like it's like when you're kind of like me and you where we're kind of conservative libertarian minded and then all of a sudden like wires cross and her head explodes so like do I believe it or do I not but yeah but no I think that ivermectin is a really good drug that has the chance to make them very little extra profits, so they don't want to. That's why they're pushing Paxlovid now, because the yeah, I know it's all a big scam. It's just a big scam. But I know it's amazing. That was I guess the most disheartening deal about it was, is just like how many people were just willing to go ahead and just let them do whatever, just if you need us to lock down for 2 years, fine, so be it. You know what's best, and it's like, what about rights? Like, where do you like those same people will talk about trans rights and non-binary rights and Latino rights and Asian rights, but not when they go to Harvard because they're too smart for the to be in the colored people category or people of color category. But every other time we'll use you as needed, but not when too many of you get into our good colleges because you're too smart. Um, but yeah, what a freaking mess. Like, but like, yeah, there's same people that are talking about those rights. They'll just give away all your basic liberties just because the government just yep. Yeah, it's it's wild, but I don't know. It makes me really glad just about every day that I live basically out in the middle of nowhere. Now, not as out in the middle of nowhere as you, but far enough away from people that I'm not that concerned about. If shit really gets out of hand, like it'll suck. Don't get me wrong, it'll suck for everybody, but I'll be better off than most, I think. Yep. Yeah, that there you go. Yeah, for sure. You butcher your own meat out there? I don't blame you. But yeah, yeah. It's not a bad idea. I know it's kind of the way the market's been headed here lately. People kind of want to know where their where the food's coming from and all that and well, and it takes a little bit, but it's one way to stick it to the Packers is just every head of beef that doesn't go through their packing plant is one more head of beef that you know takes away their control. That's yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of it and get people, especially in the cities cuz like if they only knew like if for maybe an hour's drive at the most, just about everybody from from a major metropolitan area could drive and find somebody that would sell them beef directly and then you'd have all the stuff that you'd ever need to know about the where your food comes from because you can get it directly from the source and I guess that was kind of one of the good things that happened over COVID is that really kind of sparked the direct to consumer deal and but it also sent a lot of yuppies out to rural areas and a lot of them didn't leave. That's kind of a problem. Oh yeah. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. But they all get interwoven into the government, with like you go back to say Upton Sinclair when he wrote The Jungle, and we're talking. I don't know how much you've read on like the early days of the labor movement. Like most of us in the kind of on the conservative wing always kind of taught that the unions started out good, turned out pretty shitty, and I mostly agree with that. But then when you kind of start diving into like the origins of those labor unions, and like holy shit, they were mob run, but also like that was an all out war, and there was no good sides because you had the mines and the packing houses sending in Pinkerton detectives to stir up shit. You had the union bosses sending in thugs to stir up shit, and it was a shit show. Just man, I don't know. Yeah, and a lot of it was a mob run, whether it was like Italian mob or Irish mob or just some sort of organized crime, or it was the government, which is the ultimate organized crime. Yeah, it's crazy. I think I really want to see these plants get up and running, like that one in North Platte. I know there's one or two of them in Iowa getting ready to break ground, and like I want to see them like up and running, killing cows, and like I want to see it succeed. I really hope, and there's a lot of people in our business that like are not fans of some of the people that are starting that deal, but like at least they're fucking trying, man. Like I can put what you think about them aside, and like, man, hats off for at least trying something, because it's one thing to bitch about it. It's another thing to put your ass, and like a lot of these guys, like really, like if it don't work, they're selling out and getting a job in town probably. It's so like I'm really rooting for him to succeed, and I want to just see how it works, like how they're able to go once it's going, and like then you have a blueprint of for success, and more than anything, and it's not even so much against the big packers. Like a corporation is going to do what a corporation does, and that's just try to get bigger and make more money. Like I can't even, for the most part, I can't even fault them for it, because that's just that's that's the game. Yeah, but they don't have any competition because they've rigged the game in their favor. All those regulations that that people think are for our safety. Some of them started that way, but then the all the people, the big players, and it's in every industry, whether it be automobiles or packing plants or mining, whatever. They tweak the regulations just enough so it makes it too expensive for anybody else to enter the market, and so it takes like all these little mom and pop shops that only do maybe 10 head a week, if that that could maybe expand and start bumping up and maybe trying to sell some meat, well, then they got to get USDA inspected, and then you have to meet a whole new set of criteria, and it's like redundant bullshit, and it's too expensive for them to expand. So then they just butcher one or two, however many a head a week just for the farmer, because they're stuck. They're like at a peak of what they can do without spending just like outrageous amounts of money. And yeah, but those big guys, they can meet those regulations and keep on trucking and gobble up every little guy that starts to go out of business. They just gobble them up along the way, and it's not. I mean, it's a lot of people view it as evil, and I think it can be, but I don't. And it's starting to look more evil the more and more you look at it nowadays. But initially, I don't think it was. I think it was just unbridled capitalism. Like corporations doing what corporations do. They get bigger, they get more efficient, and but then it leads to what we have now, and it's not real good. you know, I I'm not so much worried about the plant based shit because they haven't figured out a way to make that shit taste good yet. Like, yeah, it's I tried one of those impossible whoppers or whatever, beyond whoppers. I forget, whatever, either one. Um, and like the only kudos I got to him is like the very initial taste of the burger. They got that, but it faded really quickly, and then you're just chewing mush. And yeah, it was gross. Like, just outside of like the initial like split second of taste, yeah, it was just downhill from there. It was just gross, and like, so I'm not worried about that shit, but the lab created meat, that's weird shit that I don't think we need to be delving into. That's kind of like souping up viruses. I don't think we should be delving into that type of deal. Um, even if you don't believe in God, like somebody's trying to play God with that, and like I don't think anybody should do that. Like that's just not right. Like creating meat in a lab. Like I have a very strong just gut reaction to that. Like, and I don't care what the reasoning behind it is. I have a very strong gut reaction to that. I don't think you're wrong on that. I don't, I there is not a single conspiracy theory that I won't entertain. I don't buy into a lot of them, but I'll look in to just about every one of them just to see if there's anything there. I like conspiracy theories. I think they're entertaining, but yeah, there's something about that, like that World Economic Forum stuff, and the global roundtable for sustainable beef, and how like you got all these major packing companies also investing heavily in plant-based alternatives and lab-grown meats, and yeah, and then it just there seems to be a very concerted effort to just like do away with animal agriculture for as much as they can, and I don't I don't see what the end game is. And even like the people putting it together. Like, what is the end goal? I don't understand that. Yeah, yeah. Um, you've got that American Prairie Reserve going on around your neck of the woods, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. They were they were doing something kind of like that. It might have been the same thing there in Colorado, back home where I grew up in southeast Colorado. And oh, I don't know how much you've listened to any of the episodes I did with my dad. I know you're a busy guy, but my dad kind of likes to stir up some shit, and he kind of knows what he's talking about, and he's been fighting on this water deal for a while, and before that he was fighting. He fought the U.S. military from seizing a bunch of ranch land through eminent domain um, down near Trinidad, Colorado, and so. But he was warned, and I think it was the American Prairie Reserve, but he was warning about that, and they got met with some really stiff resistance in Colorado, and they I think it kind of fizzled out. I'm not sure. I haven't looked too much back into it, but um, yeah, that's one of those deals where it's like any other left wing program. It sounds really good until you look into it, but they give it a really good name, and uh, and it sounds like the American Prairie Reserve. It sounds just like majestic as shit. Um, but yeah, and then you find out what it's all about, and you're like, hey, I don't know about that. Yeah, it's um, your part of Montana's like it's extremely rural, right? Like they're not much out there. Yeah, I think I'd say at least in the continental United States, it'd have to be Montana, Wyoming, and Nevada. I think is like as far as the most rural goes, because outside of the like I-80 corridor, and even there, like outside of Reno and Elko, there's not much. And then there's Vegas, and it's just yeah, big open, not much there. And like Gerlach is on the verge of like having no water if they put in this they were trying to put in this like crypto city or something like that. I imagine that maybe got put on halt, but they were gonna ship a bunch of water out of Gerlach down to wherever this city was supposed to go. And um the bad thing is, like, there's nobody up at Gerlach anyways, uh but the few people that there are were going to be out of water. And that's kind of where my dad is at in that part of the world I grew up, where it just you got people either just pumping just millions of gallons of water for crops and sucking it dry, or you got speculators like buying up land to send for the water rights to send up to Denver or somewhere on the Front Range, and a little part of the world's about to be just sucked completely dry, and I don't know where you go from there. Like how does that come back? I mean, I guess it probably will at some point, but it won't be because of us. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny you hear like people like Elon Musk think the world is underpopulated, and then there's a lot of other people who think the world's overpopulated, and I'm kind of leaning in that camp that maybe there are just too many people. I don't know. I'm not the one to say that we need to start getting rid of any certain group because I don't like to be labeled a bigot. But I think I get to thinking that maybe there are too many people, but then also I think, what the fuck do I know? I'll just stay where the least amount of people that I'm comfortable with are. Like, then just I like where I'm at, where I'm not real far from civilization, but I'm also not real far from being way away from civilization. And I'm in a happy medium. Yeah. Well, I have you been taking on any real bad horses here lately, or are you kind of slowing down in your old age on that? Oh, you'll have to start over. You're cutting out pretty good. Oh, you're all right. Yeah, that sounds all right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Little misunderstood too. Like there, and it's also I was talking with my other pen writer today, and he used to cowboy on the TS out there at Carlin, and And so he's seen some bad horses through the day. He used to work at Squaw Valley, and there's just certain the horses are just funny creatures. They're just like people in that manner, and I can understand why, like, people get so attached to horses because they're funny creatures. But I there's a rant that Owen Ulf went on in his book. I forget the name of the book, but he ends it. It's like, if a horse could talk, he would lie, and he like just just completely ripping down like the romantic view of a horse, and he talks about how they're how just like riding some company horses where it just like there is nothing good about this animal, and then like you'll hear some little gal from the city talk about how it's not the rider, it's not the horse, it's the rider, and it's like, no, that this horse has seen plenty of riders, it's the fucking horse. Mm-hmm. They're funny creatures though. Like, I mean, there's so much like human. It's not even funny. They just like the hierarchy. The like when one's being a dick, and it's funny. Like, some will be dicks to each other at different times of the year, and it just, I don't know. They're funny. They're just funny how they work, and there's some that you can ask to do stuff, and there's some that you have to tell them and then beat it into their head as well. And nobody likes to see that happen, but it's a lot of times that's a necessary step. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Well, and a lot of it comes with circumstances too. Sometimes that's all you can afford to have is the bad ones that nobody else wants anyways. So like, you take them on and you figure out how to get by with them. Like, if nothing, some of them turn out to be great horses. Some of them always are like that. I've got a Mustang that just I've tried everything, short of just shooting her in the head. And she is hard mouthed, like it's like steering a boat. Um, and you can't, like, I honestly, I could probably shoot her in the head and she'd live. Like, she's Mustang, just hard headed. No, big, good feet, and like a big U neck. She looks like one of those old Spaniard type horses, and just like ugly as the day is long. But she's easy enough to catch, and you can get just about anything done on her that you want. It's a lot of work, and it's frustrating the whole time. And she might buck here and there, sometimes, not often, but what she does, she's got a lot of drop because she's got a big old neck on her, and she's just, I don't know. But also, I'm not going to get much for her if I try to sell her. So like, I guess I'll ride her when I have to. And other than that, she just gets fat. So like, when I absolutely have to ride her, I'll ride her. But it's not that I'm scared of her. It's a chore, and yeah. So I avoid it. Mm, yeah, yeah, it's exactly right. So like, I uh I need to get something good started, something nice, and that's gonna be easy to, something that will be my next go to horse, that I so I can kind of retire this other one and let my kids uh you know crawl around on her. But yeah, you always hate to see those ones go though, because they're your go-to. But like if you can't give your go-to horse to your kids, who can you give them to? And yeah, that horse deserves a little break too. So. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's like this time of year is when I get my shitters back up into shape, because we're pretty slow, and so I give my good horses a little bit of a rest, and let them get a little fatter, and just bring in the Mustang and bring in another horse and just slave on them for a little bit. It's not even slaving them; it's just a day, day after day, because it's a slow that they're not even really getting rode, but it's just enough to keep them halfway honest and save on your good horses. It's it makes a lot more sense to people when you think of it in terms of economics, but people don't like to think of horses in terms of economics very much. They like the glamour part of a horse. It's it's funny until they have to buy that hay, and then the economics comes right to a head. Oh shit, yeah, and it ain't much better this year. I know you guys got a little bit of rain up your way, but yeah, there's yeah, it's rough. If you're wanting to buy hay this year, and yeah, I bet yeah, it is what it is. I bet we see a lot more horses out on the desert here in the next year or two. If especially if it don't. I mean, we've had this week has been good. We've had 3 out of the first 4 days of August have had a nice little shower, and so it's been cooling it down and kind of knocking the dust down. But it's we need a lot of it. It's been dry. Yeah. I think parts of it are still real bad. I think like Central and East Texas. I talked to Boots, and he said they could sure use some rain. It's been real hot down there, like 100, 108, something like that. Um, yeah, it's they need some rain. I know. I think kind of the northern plains has done okay this summer, but this spring and summer. But I think yeah, Texas is pretty dry. I haven't heard what California is doing. The fires? I know they've had some big fires this year, but it seems like they're not. Maybe they're running out of shit to burn over there. I'm not for sure. But the smoke hasn't been near as bad this year, and I'm knocking on wood now, because it was bad last year. It sucked last year, but it hasn't been too bad this year. So maybe I know that fire started in Northern California, and we got a pretty good rain. Like it started like over the weekend, and then it's been raining. I think Monday, yeah, Monday, Tuesday. Last night it didn't really rain much, and then we had a nice little rain tonight. So it's adding up, and it's helping. Like the ground's getting a little spongier, and that's boy. That sure helps with the even when it gets over 100, as long as that ground's got some sponginess to it, like it's not the heat's not as bad, but when that ground gets hard and baked, man, it just reflects the heat back off you, and again, it's so hot, just so hot. Um, how bad did the Dust Bowl hit your part of the world back in the day? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm. Oh, yeah. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, well, I grew up about 45 minutes away from Boise City, Oklahoma, which was considered the geographic center of the Dust Bowl. And at all those old timers, there was like the ranches had pretty well left that part of the world. Um, with the Homestead Act, once like during the World War I, they shipped just as many people as they could out on the high plains there, and just told them as the rain would follow the plow. And in the same way up in Montana, Dave Stamey's got that song that talks about it. And man, what like that one event is like the one thing where I can kind of halfway get on board with some of the climate change shit. Like I don't think we need to get off of fossil fuels and stuff, but like that's one thing that I can point to and say, like, we can't really control the weather, but we can make it a lot worse if we're fucking stupid like we were. And that shows like how stupid we were. And it was like, so let's not do that again, and that's where I can buy into climate change. It's doing stupid shit like that. It's not the you know the energy saving light bulbs and all the other horse shit and the cow farts. It's like, no, maybe not plow up 30 million acres of natural prairie land. Like that seems like a bad idea in retrospect. So yeah, it's like we should look more into that, and that's where, like, the conservationists have a point too, but also, like, do we want to turn what we have back into the unbridled wilderness? I mean, I don't think most people do, because it'll only be people like you that survive if we do. I mean, like, I'll probably make a go for a little bit, but like I say, I'm a little too close to civilization to really hold out for long term. I think I'll probably I'll be one of those guys that'll I'll hold out for a little bit, but um yeah, I don't think most people really want that. So, like, why are we trying to go backwards that way? Like, I agree, we need to preserve uh you know like some wilderness areas, but like we gotta, like, listen to the ranchers, especially the ones that have been around for a long damn time. They've kind of seen everything come and go, and how to manage stuff. Like, they're the ones you need to talk to if you really want to ask, like, how do we keep this going? It's not some activist from the city, because I'm sure your family has seen so many people come and go over the years, but like there's people that are established in every little pocket of rural America. Families that go back generations, and they go back generations for a reason. Sometimes because they're just tough enough to stick it out. Sometimes they had the money, and sometimes there was a lot of corruption involved. But there's reasons why, like, pockets of wherever in rural America, why different names stand out. But I imagine, like, in your part of the world, it's just the people that were tough enough to stay there. hmm You know, yeah, that part of the world I grew up in was just north of what they called no man's land, and now that's the Oklahoma Panhandle. But it wasn't Indian territory, it wasn't Texas, and it wasn't Kansas. So and it wasn't part of Colorado territory. So it was just a little strip of land where, if all else failed, you could just hightail it over there for a little bit and find a good buffalo wallow to hide in, and you could just kind of wait it out. But yeah, so I don't know. It just, the fringes of society kind of find rural America, it seems like. Yeah, I'm starting to think that salt of the earth start is another just term for crazy anymore. Because, like, yeah, there you look at the places we live in, and we were talking before we started recording here, and you're talking, Montana hitting 117 degrees, and that just seems absurd. That's like, it's like Death Valley getting below zero. That seems like it shouldn't happen. But you look at, like, at the high plains, and you're like, what draws people there? Because it's either hot, dry, and windy, or cold, dry, and windy 350 days out of the year. And on those other 15 days, it's usually really extreme weather. and the wind still blows. So like what draws you there? I don't know. It's just home, I guess. My family was a bunch of dumb farmers that just stayed. you know, they they stuck it out, and I don't know. It takes a tough kind of people to live in that, in these parts of the world. Yeah. How was the trapping over the past couple of years? Mm, 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 mm. No. Mm, hmm. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Well, good. What do they use Bobcat for? Just coats and stuff. Mm. Okay. Yeah, we need to do another podcast one of these days just on trapping because Yeah, I grew up on the plains. There wasn't much to trap outside of coyotes. So, and most of the coyotes down that way are pretty mangy. So they didn't bring, I know they didn't bring much because when we'd shoot a coyote in high school, there was a guy that would, that buy them from us. And they used to give a bounty for them. The county would, but, they stopped that. And then there was a guy that give us $40 for a good, one that wasn't mangy. And in high school, shit, we thought we were shitting in tall cotton. But yeah. And then I haven't been around it. It's just the part of the world I was that, you know we didn't have any of that. And now, like, my father-in-law trapped quite a bit back in the day. Like, he he didn't know Claude Dallas, but they trapped it in a lot of the same area, about a lot of the same time. And like, but he's kind of, he's a, the type, Nevada mountain man. And likes that high desert stuff. And did a lot of trapping. So I've heard some cool stories from him. We should, maybe I'll get you and him on the phone, and we'll talk. We'll talk some trapping. I bet that'd be a really cool episode. Um, if you're willing, we'll all set it up. I bet he'd be more than willing to do it. Yeah, I think so. I'll ask him about it. I'm sure he'll do it. But yeah, you guys will talk about stuff that I have no idea what you're talking about. But I've seen him, and he's getting older now, so he's slowed down. He's just grandpa now. But he used to run and gun like hell. He was a wild man back in the day. And yeah, he was yeah, he lives to hunt, trap, fish. He's outdoorman. But he was a HVAC sheet metal guy. So you kind of got to live close to the city to make the real money there. So he lived in Reno, and but then spent as much time as he could out in the hills. So. Oh yeah. Yeah. He, and people, oh, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. There's no bag limit on cats, as far as I know. Mountain lions there that you can buy. I think you can just buy one. May maybe more, but I know you can buy one. You don't have to even draw for that. And then yeah, the cats are pretty much unlimited, as far as I know. But they're a little tougher to catch. So yeah, that's exactly what my father-in-law said. He said they're harder because you have to go find them. You have to, like you said, you find where they travel. And once you find where they travel, a well placed, like with he uses those um, those Mojo, just plastic doves, and some feathers and whatnot. And then he puts his trap right there, and it works. I mean, he knows what he's doing. And it's funny. Like, I can remember the hunter safety class, going over the the trap and stuff. And but I can also remember our instructor going, like, unless you're going to the mountains, you probably don't need to pay too much attention to this after the test. And he was 100% right. Like, if you don't go to the mountains, and like, that's your thing, you just, like, you didn't need to know anything about trapping in that part of the world. But we would have some guys from Missouri that came down and trapped coyotes for us there at the feedlot. And those were some interesting fellas. Fur trappers from Missouri. That's about as hillbilly as you get. Yeah. Right. That's like the whitetail in the Midwest too. Like they say on opening day in Wisconsin, Wisconsin is the third largest military in the world because yeah, they just have so many white-tailed deer up there, and it's just such a tradition that like everybody is armed, and like people come from out of state, and but they have no like natural predators up there. They like even that they'll have coyotes and stuff, but a coyote ain't like actively taking down a deer. Or very rarely is that going to happen. They'll find rabbits and birds and whatever else. They're not they're have you seen that much where they're like you got packs of coyotes taking down deer? I Yeah. No shit. Huh. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, same way with cattle too. Yeah, uh, yeah, that was the thing we had when I was up there on the High Line and then and everywhere else is like the cows were a problem with the calves. They didn't mess with the cows. There's just not there wasn't enough coyotes for that. But yeah, and I could be talking completely out my ass. I don't know. I know I've never seen anything of the like outside of just snatching fawns and stuff. But like I've never heard of any where I was of coyotes taking down anything other than the yeah fawns. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I imagine. Yeah, I'll send you a link to a song tomorrow. You'll have to listen to it's called "The Wolf." I think you'll like it. Kind of describes society today, but also yeah, like the wolf is such a powerful like analogy. Like you look through literature and history, like how many times the wolf is like the main character because there's something else. Like they're vicious and smart and and they work good alone, but they work terrific in packs and like they're I don't know they're and as people in the cow business we hate them because they tend to like cattle a lot and yeah, but you look at them and you're just like that what a fucking animal like that it's crazy. Are they a problem in your part of the world? Mm, Yeah. Oh, okay. Mm. Mm. Damn. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and what I don't get is like they act like we don't enjoy the wildlife. Like here we are talking about how cool it was that you saw a wolf. You know, like there was only a 30-yard gap, and they're like they're fucking cool, but also like yeah, these cattle are how we make our living, and we treat them, you know, a lot of times better than we do our own kids. You know, like we give them more attention than our own families a lot of times, and so yeah, when they just don't know that instinct. Like, you know, you don't fuck with mine. Like, you know, they would understand it if somebody's fucking with your kids, but like, essentially, these are our kids. You know, like that's how we make our money. So, like, you fuck with them, like that's gonna piss a guy off, and you're gonna go kill that. And it's just like I don't know where the disconnect is. Like, there people are just too disconnected from their food. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh huh. Yep. Yeah. Well, and also like how it all came into be too is like all these like if you look back through the range wars and stuff, and then, you know, it's like a rich part of our history, but like it was all a bunch of like really shitty big conglomerate companies that were just taking land at will and pushing the little guys out. And, you know, and like, there were some family ranches involved in it here and there, but if you look at the most of the operations, they were owned by Scots or like yeah, Scotsmen and Englishmen. Yeah, and then like my part of the world, they were a lot of Scotsmen in the, you know, like southern Colorado down into like the Texas Panhandle. It was Scottish and English both, but like there were more famous ranches where the owners never physically saw their ranch in that or even set foot in the United States of America. A lot of them, you know, it's like it was just insane, and like there was a lot of like you always wonder like if it hadn't been, and they were all just people that had connections with, you know, senators and congressmen and railroad companies, and that's how they got their land, that's how they got their power, and then when the beef boom went bust, they all sold out, and, you know, they made money money going in. It was they just, the land was just there for whatever. And yeah, like, and you just wonder, like, if like the natural expansion, I don't know. I don't know how it would have happened, but like all those range wars and stuff were essentially caused by people that never even saw the land they were fighting over. It's wild, just wild. Um. Mhm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, with cattle Kate and whatnot. Mhm. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's that old open range. Like everybody loves that idea, and like, and then there's some benefit to it, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, there's no other way it does end, but in some sort of fight. And like, I don't think today so much. Like, I mean, you even look at like the Bundy situation. Like, there when there's no clear ownership there, like there's gonna be there's going to be conflict. And when you look at like Texas, where they had their problems with it back in the day, but there's almost no public land in Texas. It's all privately owned, and you don't have these type of quarrels down there either. But I mean, I guess you don't have Yellowstone down there either. So yeah, yeah. No, no, they're as far as their Cowboys go on Yellowstone. No, not so much. But I will say it's a good show. Like, and I can understand being from somebody from Montana how you might not like it. I understand that, but I think if you just look at it for what it is, and like it's a bunch of Hollywood people trying to do justice to a modern day Western, and I think they do okay. Like, they could always use better cowboys in their stuff, but guess what? Good cowboys don't necessarily make good actors either. So I don't know. Take your take your pick. I don't know. I don't hate it. I hate kind of. I hate the commercialization of the American West, but also I don't know. Imitation's the most sincere form of flattery, right? I don't know. Oh no, don't worry about it. I badmouth all sorts of shit. It don't matter. Oh yeah, I think so too. You know, in today's day and age, there's not many scenarios that you could put me in and I wouldn't do okay. You know, like I'm not going to be the best hand on many outfits, but I feel pretty confident that I could slide in and not get in the way too much, and just about anywhere. But I can do just enough to not stand out. I think, and yeah. Well, I just but like I'll talk to Boots, I'll talk to guys like you and like some of these guys on big outfits, whether it be Texas, Arizona, or Nevada or whatever, and guys from all different styles, and like man, I have not done that level of cowboying, but I think I spent I spent a full cabin season up in Big Sandy, Montana, which is the coldest I've ever been in my goddamn life, and I've been cold a lot, and damn near ruined the state of Montana for me forever. Um, and I did it in a bunkhouse with it was and even the old timers would be like, oh yeah, well at least you had a natural gas heater. Well, yeah, but it froze up in the middle of the night a lot, and I woke up with 2 inches of frost on my chest because the heater went out. So like, I mean, I've experienced some really shitty conditions in Montana, uh, all for the sake of cowboying. So like I've done a little bit of it, and I feel like I could. I if I had to, I could do it, but I also kind of like I don't know. I like the middle weather, and that's hard to find. Where the middle weather is where all the people are too. Yeah, yeah. That's we talk in the feedlot. When you get a 40 or 50 degree fluctuation in temperature during the day, that's when you start seeing a lot of sick cattle, and we're right in that part of the world where it's high desert. So, and we're backed up against the Sierras and the pine nuts and the sweet waters. So like when the sun dips over those hills, it gets dark real quick, and so again, it gets cold at night, but it gets real hot at not real hot, but it gets hot enough and during the day, and so we get those temperature swings. Then you when you're thinking 117 in the summer in Montana, and then you get you know 30-40 below plus the wind chill in the winter, particularly out there on those eastern plains. Son of a bitch, I can't imagine how cold it gets. Man, that's yeah, that's cold. Because you're essentially straight north of where I grew up, and so you're where you're at now, being butted up against Wyoming, and you're getting close to over there on because you're kind of out in the plains, right? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. You still get that you get that nasty wind though, like the planes get though, huh? Mm, yeah. Mm, yeah. Ooh, I don't miss those. That was out there on those high plains. It's just like all the time, and it has been windy this year where I'm at now, and it like they're I've been here 5 years now here in Western Nevada, and there's like certain parts of the year, 2 weeks or a month or so, where it'll be pretty windy, and but this year just like it kind of last couple weeks it kind of died down, but man, up until then it's just windy all the damn time, and it started reminding me of back home, and that was one of the reasons I left back home. I mean, it didn't play a huge factor, but when I got out here and the wind wasn't blowing just every damn day, I thought, huh, this is kind of nice. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's have you done anything besides cowboying ever, or you just cowboyed the whole time? Oh yeah, a trapper, I guess. Yeah. How how big, or like what was the outfits like growing up? I know you talked about growing up with some of the old timers, but have the ranches and stuff, how's that changed over the years? Mm. I wonder where it all goes. Like, I assume like people just keep living, even if like when shit hits the fan, like I wonder like the way shit's shaping up around the world, like if it pops off between Russia and China and us, like there's no way we're going into that war without a draft. Like that ain't happening. We don't have near enough troops to go fight China and Russia. And then you're like, that's when all this nonsense that all these lefties have been preaching, like that shit goes away real quick when you're just like getting shoved through a line and your head buzzed and like, well, welcome to boot camp, motherfucker. Like, well, get ready because it's gonna get worse. Or, no, like I was reading an article from Military Times, and they're talking about how morale is low, and it was like a 20% drop in the same poll that they take year over year about how like enthusiasm for the military, and it was active duty spouses and veteran spouses, and like how likely they were to recommend somebody to go into military service, and it was a 20% drop over the last 2 years. And yeah, so that leads to to one thing, like if we go to war and you can't recruit enough people, well, that draft is still there. Like we haven't used it in a while, but it's still there, and like there's no way we're going to China to war with China and not drafting people. Like that ain't happening. I know history well enough to know that. And yeah, that shit'll get real weird real quick, and all these crazy people talking about trans rights and whatever their butt hurt for the day. Well, yeah, guess what? Suck it the fuck up and carry a rifle, bitch, because you're in the US Army. Yeah, it crazy, but I don't know. I guess we'll keep plugging along. We always do, huh? I guess I was gonna ask you about this. So I've had several people ask me to like in different ways to talk about mental health, and I just like talking to you, like you've done like you've had some rough shit happen the last couple years, and then like you had some big ups and downs, and like how do you do it? How do you keep at it every day? Yeah, I agree. Like I always say I like people from a distance, but there's certain people I don't care if they're from a distance or not. There's certain people I like, and there's certain people I have to talk to. When shit's kind of not great, and it's not. I've never thought of doing anything crazy, but like to just get back to. No, it's kind of why I like the bull session episodes where I like to just shoot the shit and talk shit, just like guys being guys, like that's such there's such a good release, just telling dirty jokes, and talking shit on each other and trying to make each other laugh. There's just something about that is just good for the soul. And like that more than anything, like I try to think like that helps me more than anything. It's just like just getting a good laugh or like, you know, talking to a buddy and reminiscing on a story of something stupid you did, and getting a laugh that way. Like that just it makes my day. And that, like, I can keep going on that for a while because I'll just remember back to that and laugh, just laugh out of the middle of nowhere. And like that gets me by. or and then just staying busy. Like there's something about that, even if you're not just busting your ass, but stay busy. Well, and seeing progress, like you like being able to look back and see something that you've either finished or you can see tangible progress on that. Man, there's some like I like building fence is one of the most hated jobs in the world, but there's nothing more satisfying than looking back on a straight row of fence and just like, yeah, did that one. That like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Fixing building fence and bucking hay. There is not another activity in the world that will get you more ripped if you spend an entire summer just building fence and then throwing hay. Like you will look like a Greek god by the end of the summer. Like, and if that's all you do, because I mean it takes every muscle in your body, muscles that you didn't know you had, to get all that done. And it's not necessarily hard work all the time, but it's the same amount of work over and over and over and over, just repetition. And yeah, you'll be in really good shape by the end of the summer doing that. Well, yeah, I think you're right about that though. Like there's something satisfying about building fence. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't my my favorite thing to do ever. I'd sure bitch about it, but I like to bitch about stuff too. That's just I figured out that's also one of the like the top skills of a cowboy is you better be good at bitching about shit. I've come to the conclusion that you bitch about shit because you don't have any control over it. So you just like there's nothing else you can do, just complain. And like, if we'd run these cows this way, we're like, well, I don't own those cows, so what else? What the fuck am I going to do? Well, I'll just bitch about it. um, yeah, it's I don't know. Well, it's probably past your bedtime. Shit, it's getting late, Dan. Sorry to keep you so long, but I really enjoyed the chat. We should do more of these. Like I said, I think you and my father-in-law would have a hell of a conversation on trapping. All right, I'll see if all right, I'll see if we give me a couple weeks. I'm gonna be busy here for a little bit, but I think that'd be fun. I'll talk to him. We'll set it up. And yeah. Dan Hartman on Facebook. Is Facebook the only social media you got? You're kind of on and off Facebook. You're you're like a you're like a you're like a ghost man on Facebook. Sometimes you're here, sometimes you're there under another name, and then I never know. That's funny. Yeah. It's all right. There's not many people like I kind of tune into Facebook for, but I always enjoy when your posts pop up because it's usually something dumb and funny. Like that's how I like it. So that that's exactly what I'm there for. So it always gives me a chuckle. But no, I'm glad you're doing good, and I'm glad you're out there living every day, Dan. It's you're one of the old types, and it's good to know they're still out there. So you give a lot of guys that wanna go punch cows for a living a little bit of hope, and then maybe we'll give them a little bit of wisdom once they figure out it's not all sunshine and roses. But yeah, for sure. I hope you guys do good over there, and then yeah, we'll stay in touch, and we'll do another couple of one of these, and yeah, yeah, we got shit to talk about. We got shit to talk about yet, I think. You bet. Take care, man. Bye. And that was Dan Hartman, folks. Now, move your ass. We're burning daylight.
Your eyes up in the morning, beneath the stars so bright. Pull your hat down, make sure your cinch is tight. Horse is kinda snuffy, cold chill up your spine. We'll get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right. Just together, and you won't catch 'em all. But when you ride through the gate, make sure you sit up tall. I can see the horizon, it's looking pretty bright. Well, get your ass moving, son, we're burning daylight. Burning daylight. Burning daylight. In the saddle till the job's done right.